It begins in silence, not the silence of peace, but the silence of surrender. The world doesn't announce when it starts to mold you. It whispers, drips ideas into your consciousness like a slow leak. You barely notice it. Play it safe, it says. Be realistic. Get a steady job. Don't dream too big. That's not for people like you. And without knowing it, you buy the script. From the moment you're born, you are handed a story. But here's the truth that shatters illusions. Most people stay broke, not because they lack opportunity, but because they inherit beliefs that keep them small. They wear chains so subtle they forget they're there. Mental poverty, emotional debt, generational fear disguised as wisdom. This isn't about money alone. Money is just the mirror. The real question is who taught you what you were worth. You can trace the lineage of poverty like a family tree. Not the poverty of a bank account, but of mindset. Your grandmother might have told your father, who then told you that rich people are greedy, that success is for the lucky, that suffering is noble, and ambition is arrogant. So you grow up apologizing for wanting more, sabotaging yourself when abundance knocks, because deep down you still believe you're not supposed to have it. Most people stay broke because they confuse comfort with freedom. They live in survival mode so long that anything outside of that feels unsafe. They mistake routine for security when it's often just a slow death in disguise. They've traded their wild potential for predictable misery. Let me tell you something. Your mind is not a cage unless you make it one. Every man and woman who has ever broken free, Carnegie, Edison, Oprah, Ford, Jobs, they were not superhuman. They simply refused to be hypnotized by the average. They tore the veil off reality and saw that wealth starts in the mind, not in the wallet. It starts with belief, a dangerous kind of belief, the kind that dares to say, I am not what the world told me I am. But belief alone isn't enough. You must become ruthless with clarity. Clarity is the blade that cuts through the noise. Without it, you are driftwood, at the mercy of the current, a puppet to distraction. Look around. Most people scroll their lives away, living in loops, chasing dopamine, numbing the ache that whispers, you were made for more. Clarity demands that you define what more means, not for your friends, not for your parents. For you, you must be bold enough to sit with yourself in silence and ask, what do I want? Who must I become to have it? What am I willing to endure? Because make no mistake, to break free is to endure. The moment you step outside the mold, you will be tested. Your old life will beg you to return. Friends will question you. Family will worry. The world will push back, not because it hates you, but because your transformation threatens their illusion of stability. So you must anchor yourself in vision, not a wish, a vision, something vivid, detailed, unshakable, something that pulls you forward when discipline fades, when motivation dies, when the results haven't shown up yet, and all you have is sweat and silence. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times before he gave the world the light bulb, but he didn't see failure. He saw data. He saw feedback. That's vision. Vision makes the invisible real. It makes the intangible tangible. It doesn't live in the future. It bleeds into your present and dictates your steps. It becomes the compass when the map burns. But vision without action is hallucination. So you act, you move, you build, you do. Not when it's easy, not when it's perfect. Now most people stay broke because they wait. They wait for permission, for signs, for stars to align. They wait until they feel ready. But let me tell you, ready is a lie. Readiness is built through motion, not contemplation. The man who waits becomes a monument to what could have been. Discipline must become your religion, not punishment, not rigidity. Discipline is devotion. It is the proof of desire. It's waking up when you're tired, showing up when you're doubted, creating when you're uninspired, doing the damn work, especially when no one claps. Henry Ford was mocked for building a car when horses ruled the roads. They called him insane, but he kept building. That's discipline in motion. And in that discipline you will face doubt. Not once, every day. The enemy is not out there. It lives in your head. The whisper that says, who do you think you are? The echo of every voice that ever laughed when you dreamed. But here's the truth. Doubt is not your enemy. Doubt is the forge, the fire. You do not eliminate it. You outwork it. You override it with volume, with results, with unstoppable consistency. Most people stay broke because they expect fast. They want the treasure without the quest. But wealth, real wealth, is slow. It is compound. It is brick by brick. It is choosing the long game in a world that worships shortcuts. Break free from the myth of overnight success. There is no elevator, only stairs. Every dollar earned with sweat becomes a seed. Every skill built in silence becomes a weapon. But as you rise, don't forget the inner work. You can earn a fortune and still be broke in spirit. True wealth begins with gratitude. Gratitude is not passivity. It's power. It's saying, I will not wait for perfect to feel blessed. It's the soil that abundance grows in. When you train your mind to see what is good, you invite more of it. When you focus on lack, you attract scarcity. This isn't metaphysics. It's biology. It's psychology. What you focus on expands. And as the storms come, and they will, you must become water, adaptable fluid, unbreakable. Most people stay broke because they break at the first bend. One setback, one loss, one failed launch, and they crumble. But those who break free, they see adversity as tuition. They don't flinch when plans collapse. They pivot, they adjust, they evolve, because in the jungle of life, survival belongs not to the strongest, but to the most adaptable. Resilience is not the absence of pain. It is the decision to rise anyway. Abraham Lincoln lost 8 elections before becoming one of the greatest presidents in history. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. Steve Jobs was fired from his own company. What did they all have in common? They got up again and again. You must learn forever. Ignorance is the enemy of freedom. Most people stay broke because they stop learning. They finish school and think the journey is over. But school was just the introduction. The real education begins when the world punches you in the mouth, when your assumptions fail, when you realize that every next level of life will demand a next level of you. You must read, study, surround yourself with wisdom. In a world of noise, seek signal. Your circle will shape your ceiling. Do not underestimate the power of environment. If you hang around 5 broke thinkers, don't be surprised when your mind echoes their limitations. You are the architect, the designer, the spark. Your life is not a lottery ticket. It is clay, molded by your thoughts, carved by your choices, shaped by your resilience. So the question stands, not why others stay broke, but will you repeat the cycle, or will you rise? Because here's the secret, most never dare to admit freedom comes at a price. And the price is everything that no longer serves you. Your excuses, your distractions, your past, your pride. If you want to break free, you must be willing to burn the ships, leave the old shore with no guarantee of arrival, only the certainty that staying means spiritual death. This world was not built by those who waited. It was built by fire starters, the dreamers who became doers. It was shaped by hands blistered from labor and minds lit with vision. Not perfect people, not lucky ones, just the brave ones, the ones who were willing to be misunderstood, mocked, and mistaken, all in the name of what could be. You see, most people never even try. And trying doesn't mean dabbling. Trying means bleeding for it, sweating for it, crying for it, losing sleep, facing fear, and still choosing to go again. Because there is no savior coming. There is no perfect timing. There is only you and the decision you make next. You were not born to survive. You were born to build, to lead, to rise. You were not given imagination so you could live a life of imitation. You are not here to merely exist. You are here to create, to shatter ceilings, to challenge limits, to rise from the ruins and declare, I decide how this story ends. So start now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Start broke, start scared, start with doubt in your throat and fire in your chest. Start messy, imperfect, unsure. Just start, because one day, years from now, you will look back on this moment. You will remember the fear, the hesitation, and then the choice, the spark, the ignition of a new life, and you will thank yourself for the courage to act. You are not broke. You are becoming. Be relentless. Be ruthless with your time. Be obsessed with your growth. And whatever you do, don't go back to sleep. Wake up. The life you want is waiting, but it won't wait forever. And as you rise, remember this: money is not the goal. Money is the consequence, the echo, the ripple. The true goal is alignment, to align your actions with your values, your habits with your vision, your discipline with your destiny. Most people chase money like it's oxygen, but you don't chase oxygen, you breathe it. You build a life where value flows through you like breath, where the world pays you because you became someone worth paying. You don't get rich by wanting to get rich. You get rich by becoming rich in skills, rich in service, rich in courage. And those riches, internal riches, compound. They compound into influence, into freedom, into choices most people will never taste. And this journey, it's lonely. Don't let anyone lie to you about that. There will be nights when no one understands, days when you question your sanity, moments when quitting looks holy. But that solitude, it's sacred, because it is in the quiet that you hear your true voice. It is in the dark that roots grow deep, and only with deep roots can you weather the winds of growth. You must make peace with the long road, the unseen grind, the seasons of silence, because you're not planting weeds, you're growing forests. So guard your energy. Be brutal about boundaries. Not everyone gets to go with you. Some people are anchors, not wings. And when you feel guilt for leaving them behind, remember this: your growth is not betrayal. Your success is not selfish. Shrinking to make others comfortable is not loyalty. It's self-abandonment. Be bold enough to walk alone until you find those strong enough to walk with you. You don't need millions of followers. You need conviction. You need stamina. You need integrity so fierce that nothing outside of you can rewrite what you know to be true inside you. And as you climb, give. Give your story. Give your lessons. Share your bruises and breakthroughs. Because someone out there is living their day one. Someone is drowning in the same self-doubt you conquered. Someone needs to hear how you made it out of the fire. Most people stay broke because they hoard what they should share. But power multiplies when it's passed on. Wisdom expands when it flows. You want to change your life. Change someone else's. You want to receive more. Become more valuable. You want to be free. Start freeing others. That's the real secret. Not hustle porn. Not fake gurus. Not empty affirmations. But daily, deliberate, disciplined creation. Building when no one sees. Learning when it's uncomfortable. Giving without keeping score. And believing, always believing, that you were born to do more than survive this life. You were born to lead it. So don't just listen to this message. Live it. Etch it into your bones. Tattoo it onto your decisions. Make it the drumbeat of your days. Because if you do, truly do, then years from now you will no longer say, "Why am I still broke?" You will say, "That was the moment everything changed. And it all began here, with a whisper, with a spark, with you." Now go. Go build the life that refuses to leave your dreams. Go make your future louder than your past. Go break free. Go make your future louder than your past. Go break free. Because the chains aren't on your wrists. They're on your beliefs. They're forged from the lies you inherited, the fears you never questioned, and the low standards you've accepted as normal. And to break them, you don't need permission. You need defiance. You need to rise like Lincoln did, from a log cabin, self-educated by candlelight, failing over and over, but never letting those failures define his value. You need the obsession of Edison, who failed 10,000 times to give the world light, who didn't see failure as a stop sign, but as the blueprint for success. Every mistake a thread, weaving something greater. You need the resolve of Oprah, rising from trauma, poverty, and prejudice. Not to be liked, not to be famous, but to speak truth, to own her voice in a world that tried to silence it. These are not mythical beings. These are humans who decided, and decision is the first step. Not a wish, not a dream. A decision, unshakable, undiluted, and absolute. A declaration that says, I will not die with my potential still inside me. Most people stay broke because they dabble. They kind of want it. They sort of try. They treat their future like a hobby and wonder why it doesn't pay like a calling. But your destiny is not a weekend project. It's a full-time responsibility. It demands everything. Focus, sacrifice, patience, grit, and more than anything, faith. Faith in a vision only you can see. Faith in the seed before it sprouts. Faith that the pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Pain is the forge. It tempers you. It burns away the weak parts. It purifies your ambition. Without it, you're not ready. You're not tested. You're not real. So stop asking for ease. Ask for strength. Ask for challenge. Ask for fire. Because the stronger the heat, the finer the steel. And then act. Move. Execute. The dream without action is just a hallucination. The plan without movement is a graveyard. So show up, not when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Build routines that defy excuses. Create systems that make discipline automatic. Build your days like a sculptor chisels stone, intentionally, precisely, relentlessly, because your life is being built, whether you know it or not. Every thought a brick, every action a nail, every habit a hammer, and every day you are either constructing a prison or a palace. What are you building? Most build prisons, comfortable ones, decorated with distractions, filled with reasons why this is enough. But deep down they know. They settled. Don't settle. Don't accept crumbs from a feast meant for your soul. Don't rent your life to fear. Own it, and owning it means facing yourself, without lies, without blame, without shortcuts. Look in the mirror and confront the real reason you're stuck. It's not the economy, not your parents, not your job. It's you. And that's the best news you'll ever hear, because it means you have the power to change it. Responsibility is not a burden. It is liberation. And with it comes clarity, that rarest of currencies. Because most people don't go broke financially. They go broke mentally. They live without clarity, without direction, without a true north. You need a vision so clear, it pulls you forward like gravity. A vision that wakes you up at dawn and won't let you sleep at night. A vision that demands a higher version of you every single day. Define it, write it, see it, obsess over it, then reverse engineer it. Break it down into pieces so small they leave no room for procrastination. Turn it into rituals, morning, night, again and again, until it becomes part of your identity. Not a goal, a standard, not a wish, a code, not a hope, a law. Because when you live by your own laws, you don't need motivation, you become it. And from that space, from that sacred furnace of discipline and vision, you become magnetic. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop surviving and start ascending. So rise, again and again, and again. Let the world call it obsession. You call it purpose. You were never meant to fit in. You were built to stand out. Continue forward. The climb isn't over yet. Continue forward. The climb isn't over yet. And the higher you rise, the more the air will thin, the more isolated the summit. Because few ever choose the path of mastery. Few ever choose the responsibility of greatness. But if you do, if you choose to climb anyway, the rewards will not just be external, they will be internal revolutions. The quiet knowing that you bent reality, that you rewrote your story with your own hands. Because here's what the broke never understand: the world doesn't owe you comfort. It owes you nothing, but it will mirror back exactly who you are. And if you rise with power, it will meet you with opportunity. If you rise with vision, it will echo back favor. But you must give before you receive. You must sow before you reap. And most importantly, you must endure before you conquer. This is the part they don't tell you, that the journey will break you before it remakes you. That every level demands a newer, bolder version of you. That sacrifice is not optional. It's sacred. That the dream will test your loyalty before it rewards your labor. And in those tests, You'll be tempted to turn back, to shrink, to return to what's known, what's easy, what's safe. But safety is not freedom. Comfort is not peace. And nothing about a small life will satisfy the calling in your chest. So keep climbing, and as you do, let go of the weight you were never meant to carry, the approval of others, the stories that no longer serve you, the need to explain your vision to those committed to misunderstanding it. This is your life, and you don't owe anyone a version of you that fits their mold. Be willing to disappoint the world, if it means being true to your soul, because what you're chasing isn't just money, it's meaning, it's impact, it's legacy, it's freedom. And freedom doesn't live in fantasy. It lives in fierce consistency, in showing up on the days you feel broken, in grinding through the fog when clarity disappears, in moving forward when your mind screams to retreat, because real success, lasting success, isn't a viral moment. It's a quiet, defiant daily revolution. You build wealth the same way you build character, with intention, integrity, and repetition. So if you're still broke, stop asking what to do. Start asking who to become. Become the person who never misses. Become the person who learns from every failure. Become the person who invests more in their mind than in their image. Because once you shift who you are, you won't need to chase success. You'll attract it. Not because of luck, but because of alignment. And when you live in alignment, your life stops being random. Your days gain weight. Your habits gain power. Your time becomes sacred. And suddenly everything begins to change. Not all at once, not in loud cinematic ways, but quietly, steadily, like a tide rising beneath your feet, until one day you look around and realize you're not just surviving anymore. You're thriving, and not just in wealth, but in worth. Because the greatest riches are not what you own, but who you've become. The goal was never just to break free from being broke. The goal was to never feel broken again. And now you know the way. So walk it, live it, be the proof that it's possible. The summit is waiting, and the world is watching. But remember, no one claps for you at the beginning. There is no applause for waking up early, no audience for grinding in silence, no standing ovation for refusing to quit. You will walk through deserts with no water. You will fight battles no one sees. You will cry victories into pillows because the world hasn't noticed yet. But that's where the real ones are forged. In the quiet, in the unseen, in the relentless choice to keep going when nothing around you says you should. That is where greatness is born. Look at Carnegie, a poor immigrant boy working in factories at 13, who read at night and rose to become one of the greatest industrial minds in history, not because of luck, but because of vision, obsession, and unwavering execution. Look at Disney, fired from a newspaper for lack of imagination, bankrupt, betrayed, rejected, and still he built a kingdom from a mouse. Look at Ford, laughed out of boardrooms, doubted by experts, but he stayed in the garage until the engine of a new era roared to life. These men weren't gifted. They were obsessed. And obsession is what separates the hungry from the hopeful, the relentless from the reasonable. You want to win? Become unreasonable. Unreasonable about your standards. Unreasonable about your work ethic. Unreasonable about how much belief you carry in your soul when the bank account says otherwise. Because it is belief that bends reality, and not soft, passive belief. Not the kind you post online for validation. The kind you live when no one's watching. The kind you guard like fire in the dark. Belief so deep, so strong, so contagious, it infects the air around you. That's what makes champions. Not the money, not the fame, but the invisible laws they obey. The ones the broke ignore. The laws of cause and effect. The laws of intention. The laws of mindset. Discipline, persistence, faith, clarity. These laws never fail. People do. People quit. People negotiate with fear. But if you obey the laws, truly obey them, the world bends. Because success isn't a mystery. It's a formula, written in blood and sweat and silence. The broke don't lack opportunity. They lack courage to change, to grow, to risk, to let go of what they know, and step into who they were born to become. but not you. You're still here, still listening, still breathing. That means you're not done. And as long as you're not done, there is time. Time to rewrite, rebuild, reinvent. This is your revolution. And every revolution starts inside, with one spark. Light it. Let it burn away the excuses. Let it consume the small thinking. Let it devour the fear, the doubt, the hesitation, and then stand. Stand like it's already done. Move like it's already yours. Act like the world is already catching up to the future you've decided to claim, because it is. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you decide. So decide, and never look back. You were not born to stay broke. You were born to break through. Now go. Your legacy is waiting. But here's what legacy really means. It's not the name on a building. It's not the digits in a will. Legacy is who you impact while you're alive. Legacy is the echo of your courage in someone else's silence. It's the blueprint of your resilience etched into another person's breaking point. You don't build a legacy with money alone. You build it with principles, with unshakable standards, with truth. The truth that most people avoid because it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, and unforgiving. Most people stay broke because they lie to themselves. They say it's not the right time. They say I'm doing my best. They say I'll start when I feel ready. Lies, all of them. And deep down they know it. The truth is this: you are either preparing or procrastinating. You are either building or decaying. There is no neutral. There is no pause. Time doesn't stop. Life doesn't wait. And neither does opportunity. So if you're not acting, you're choosing decline. This world rewards movement. It responds to clarity. It bows to those who show up day after day, not just with talent, but with consistency. It's not the loud who win. It's the consistent. It's not the smartest. It's the most committed. It's not the lucky. It's the obsessed. So here's the new standard. No more waiting for confidence. Build it. No more praying for clarity. Create it. No more chasing motivation. Replace it with rituals. And those rituals must be sacred, because you don't rise by what you feel. You rise by what you do. Feelings lie. Discipline doesn't. And if you want wealth, not just in bank accounts, but in life, in mind, in spirit, you need to become a master of disciplined execution. That means protecting your morning like a warrior, guarding your focus like a king, prioritizing your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. And yes, it will be hard. But hard is not the enemy. Hard is the path. You were never meant to float through life. You were meant to fight for it, to earn your voice, to forge your strength through friction. Growth without resistance is an illusion. So the next time it feels heavy, the next time the weight seems unbearable, remember this is the price. This is the cost of choosing greatness over mediocrity, of building a life instead of drifting through one. Most people stay broke because they run from pressure. You must run toward it, because pressure is proof that you're expanding. The broke see obstacles. The rich see openings. The broke complain about problems. The rich build solutions. The broke envy success. The rich study. The broke wish. The rich work. So ask yourself daily, which mindset are you feeding? Because your habits are not neutral. They are sculpting your future one action at a time. Every time you hit snooze, you rehearse avoidance. Every time you skip a goal, you cast a vote for mediocrity. Every time you lower your standard, you weaken your identity. But the opposite is also true. Every time you act when it's hard, you become stronger. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you build momentum. Every time you stay loyal to your vision, you deepen your power. That is how freedom is built. Not in one grand gesture, but in 1,000 invisible decisions, day by day, hour by hour. While the world sleeps, you rise. While others escape, you endure. You become the anomaly, and that anomaly becomes unstoppable. Because when you do the work everyone avoids, you gain the results no one else sees. You rise beyond limits. You rise beyond doubt. You rise beyond the financial chains passed down for generations. You become the blueprint, the first, the one who breaks the cycle, the one who rewrites the story. That's the kind of wealth no market can shake. That's the kind of power no one can take. And the only question left is, will you claim it, or will you stay comfortable, stay broke, stay average? You know the truth now, and once you know it, you can never go back. So step forward. There's more ground to cover. There's more of you to awaken. There's more power to unlock. And we're not done yet. Not until your life becomes the message. Not until your actions speak louder than your fears. Not until your story becomes a torch that lights the way for others still trapped in the dark. Keep going. You were made for more. Keep going. You were made for more. And here's what they never told you. Wealth doesn't start in the wallet. It starts in the mind, in the invisible world where thoughts become choices, and choices become chains or keys. Most people stay broke because their thinking is broke. They operate from fear, not from vision. They think in terms of cost, not value. They obsess over safety, not growth. They ask, what if I fail, instead of what if I win? They ask, can I afford this, instead of how can I afford this? They look at problems as reasons to stop rather than reasons to evolve. This isn't about money. This is about mental sovereignty. Because a broke mind will sabotage a wealthy life. It will burn the opportunity. It will delay the dream. It will rationalize mediocrity. That's why you must protect your mind like treasure, because it is. Every podcast you play, every book you consume, every conversation you allow, every voice you follow, it all matters. Most people stay broke because they let the wrong voices shape their beliefs. They listen to critics who've built nothing. They take advice from friends who secretly fear their growth. They absorb the culture's message of instant gratification and call it ambition. But you must become selective, because belief is not just personal, it's environmental. And if you want to grow beyond where you came from, you must outgrow the noise. Create a circle so committed, so focused, so forward-moving, it feels like stepping into a different universe, because it is. That's what the wealthy do. They curate their environment like their life depends on it, because it does. Not just the physical space, the mental space, the spiritual space. They know that clarity doesn't come from clutter. Vision doesn't grow in chaos, and identity cannot evolve in a swamp of distraction. So clear it all. Declutter the digital, the emotional, the relational, the spiritual. Make room for the mindset that builds empires. And when that voice of fear creeps back in, and it will, don't run from it. Face it. Speak to it. I see you. I hear you. But you don't lead me anymore. Because you've taken the wheel now. You are the architect. You are the engine. You are the revolution. And with that power comes responsibility. Responsibility to stay the course. To honor the standard when no one else does. To execute even when inspiration is gone. Because true wealth is not just created, it's maintained. And most people lose it because they never became the person capable of holding it. They built a castle with sand habits. They reached success with sprint energy. They scaled the mountain with borrowed conviction. That's not sustainable. That's why your growth must be rooted in character, in patience, in grit, in unshakable integrity. Because when storms come, and they will, it won't be the clever who survive. It will be the grounded, the ones who built slow but solid, who sacrificed applause for alignment, who chose mastery over speed. That's the wealth that lasts, the kind that elevates your family for generations, the kind that builds communities, the kind that shapes nations. And that's the level you're playing at now. Not just financial freedom, not just passive income, not just check-the-box success, legacy, dominion, purpose. You're not just escaping being broke, you're stepping into destiny. So no, you can't afford to shrink. You can't afford to doubt. You can't afford to break your word to yourself. Not when the cost is your future. You must move like it matters. Think like it's possible. Execute like time is running out, because it is. You're not promised another year, another quarter, another Monday. You have now, this breath, this decision, this action. And what you do with it, that determines everything. So go build, go become, go claim the life most people will only talk about. Not someday, not eventually. Now, this is how you break free. This is how you never go back. This is how you rise. But there's one more truth we haven't faced yet. Most people stay broke because they never truly define what wealth means to them. They chase shadows, copy someone else's version of success, stack goals they never questioned. And when they arrive, they feel nothing because it was never their mountain to climb. You must define wealth on your terms, because the world will try to sell you a version of rich that's hollow, that screams louder than it listens, that looks good in photos but feels empty at night. Wealth is not just dollars, it's dignity. It's waking up without dread. It's working with people who inspire you. It's moving through the world with alignment, not anxiety. That is real freedom. And most people miss it because they're chasing someone else's dream and wondering why it feels like a nightmare. So pause, get still, and ask, what does rich look like for me? Not for Instagram, not for your parents, not for your ego, for you. Maybe it's a life of creative freedom. Maybe it's the ability to say no with no fear. Maybe it's building something timeless, something that echoes beyond your years. Whatever it is, make it sacred. Because when your vision is yours, no failure can take it from you. No detour can make you forget. And here's the twist. Once you define wealth your way, the external rewards show up faster. Why? Because you're finally in alignment. You're moving like someone who's already there, and the world mirrors who you are. But most people stay broke because they try to get before they become. They say, once I have money, I'll be confident. Once I succeed, I'll be disciplined. Once I'm rich, I'll be generous. Backwards. You must be the person now. You must walk like wealth lives in your bones. You must speak like power flows from your purpose. Because identity leads behavior, and behavior builds reality. This is not law of attraction. This is law of embodiment. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are, and you become what you repeatedly do. So what are your rituals? Not when life is easy, but when it's brutal. When the world feels heavy, when nothing is working. Do you collapse, or do you recommit? Most people stay broke because their habits only exist in good weather. But the ones who break free, their rituals are immune to the storm. They train when it's raining. They execute when they're tired. They build while bleeding because they don't see effort as optional. They see it as identity, and identity is everything. When you are someone who wins, you win even when you lose. You turn pain into fuel. You turn setbacks into data. You turn obstacles into leverage. That is the wealth that matters most, because money will come and go, but identity, that's forever. And the richest man is not the one with the most digits. It's the one with the most control over his mind, over his emotions, over his time, over his reactions. And you are becoming that person. Every hard choice you make, every truth you face, every moment you act with intention. You're building wealth no bank can measure. The wealth of mastery, the wealth of peace, the wealth of becoming the kind of human this world desperately needs. So rise, keep building, keep becoming, because you're almost there, and the world is waiting for the fire only you can bring. You are standing at the precipice of a great shift, the edge of a new world, a world where you no longer live in the shadow of your potential, a world where your dreams no longer seem far off, distant, or unreachable. And here's the hardest truth you'll ever face. Most people stay broke because they're afraid of success. Yes, afraid. You see, success demands growth. It requires you to evolve, to become someone unrecognizable to the person you used to be. And that scares people. Because deep down they know that once they succeed, they cannot go back. There is no reverse button in life. The moment you unlock your potential, the moment you take the leap, you will never be able to shrink back into who you were. And that's terrifying. But here's the thing, you don't grow by staying comfortable. You grow when you push your limits, when you challenge what's possible, when you leave behind the version of yourself who was content with mediocrity, when you embrace a future that is uncertain but full of possibility. You have to get comfortable with discomfort. You have to be willing to step into the unknown, to walk down paths no one has paved, to blaze your own trail even if the way forward seems blurry, even if the terrain is rough, because that is where success lives. Success isn't found in the safety of your current life. It's not waiting in the routine you've built. It's waiting in the courage to go beyond what's familiar, to challenge everything that says this is enough. Success is not a place. It's not a destination. It's a mindset. It's the mindset of someone who believes they are worthy of their dreams. It's the mindset of someone who believes the impossible is simply an invitation to grow. It's the mindset of someone who will not settle for less than what they deserve. And here's the beauty of it. You don't need a perfect plan to get started. Most people stay broke because they wait for the perfect moment. They think that success is a destination that's mapped out for them, a clear and well-lit path. But the reality is success is built step by step, one decision after another, one risk after another, one imperfect action after another. The perfect plan doesn't exist, and waiting for everything to align will only delay your greatness. Instead, take the next step, even if you don't have the full picture, even if it feels uncertain, even if it scares you. Just take the step, because the only thing that stands between you and everything you want is action. Most people stay broke because they hesitate. They hesitate to make the leap. They hesitate to bet on themselves. They hesitate because they're afraid of making the wrong move. But the truth is, there is no wrong move when you're committed to growth. Every action is a lesson. Every failure is data. Every setback is an opportunity to rise stronger. So stop waiting. Stop doubting. Stop second-guessing yourself. It's time to make your move. And as you do, you will learn to trust yourself. You will learn to trust that every step is taking you closer to the life you're meant to live. You will learn to trust that even when it feels like you're walking in the dark, you are being guided by a force far greater than fear. Now I want you to ask yourself, what's stopping you? What's keeping you from making the choice to step into your greatness?
Right.
What's holding you back from pursuing the life that's already within you? Is it fear, doubt, the opinions of others? Whatever it is, it's not stronger than your will to succeed. The world has taught you to fear risk, to fear failure, but it's time to unlearn all of that. Because success is built on risk. It's built on the willingness to fail, to fall, and to rise again. Success isn't handed to you. It's earned. It's carved out of the stone of struggle, shaped by the fire of determination. And you are worthy of the struggle. You are worthy of the sacrifice. You are worthy of the success that comes with it. So step forward with everything you've got. Step forward, not as the person you were yesterday, but as the person you are becoming. Because once you do, you will never look back.
Right.
The life you've always dreamed of is waiting for you to claim it. It's waiting for you to rise above the doubts, above the limitations, above the fears that have held you back. And when you rise, nothing will be able to stop you. You'll see opportunities where others see obstacles. You'll see a future where others see limitations. You'll create a life that most people only dream about. Because you, my friend, are destined for greatness. So break free from the chains that have held you back. The world is waiting for you to rise, and rise you shall.